is Aguero. Is this history for him? Yes, it is. That's the goal that puts him out on his own.
Sané drives in. Oh, it's wonderful.
Fantastic strike from Yaya Toure. Now Barrett. Eddie Checo, David Silva. Good effort. Brilliant goal. David Silva. City needed the breakthrough, and it's the little magician himself that's conjured up the most wonderful of tricks. Nasri tries to scoop it in towards Aguero. Yaya Toure! I said they would concede Ajax. I said this wasn't over. And Yaya Toure puts Manchester City back into it already. Yaya Toure lines up a curling shot. Oh, what a goal from Yaya Toure. Fantastic strike from Yaya Toure, who gets his third goal of the season and puts City 2-0 up here against Victoria Pilsen. It's Clichy. Nasri, set up for a shot by Nasri, and it's in! City take the lead. They backed off Sami Nasri, and they paid the price. But the goal that Manchester City needed. The edge of the box again, Fernandinho. De Bruyne shot! De Bruyne scores! City take the lead at the Etihad. It's Kevin De Bruyne once again.
Bruyne discussing it with Aguero, but Silva's there and Kolarov, Gundogan. It's Kevin De Bruyne. It's absolutely brilliant as well! Kevin De Bruyne with a huge goal for Manchester City. Superbly dispatched. And Manchester City lead Barcelona 2-1. That's a great piece of defending, but here is Aguero. Is this history for him? Yes, it is. That's the goal that puts him out on his own as Manchester City's history man, the all-time record scorer, and away from home, and in the Champions League, and to give City the lead in Naples.
I think it will be Leroy Sané. Gundogan and Zinchenko also there. Going to go directly from goal, slightly shorter than the 30 yards as Sané drives it in. Oh, it's wonderful! Leroy Sané from 29 yards out had Oliver Baumann clutching at air, and in first half injury time, City are level.
Here's Raheem Sterling, City on the move again, City in business again, and Raheem Sterling clinical again. 4-1 to Manchester City, and they're starting to run up the score.
Here comes KDB, that shot finds its way in. It's Kevin De Bruyne with a rocket from outside the box. Pep Guardiola wanted better finishing from his man, and Kevin De Bruyne obliges.
Mahrez goes deep. Rodri tried to get to the header. Bernardo Silva! Oh, what a fantastic finish! Bernardo Silva with another brilliant goal.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to West Reception. The team coach has arrived. Make some noise for our manager Pep Guardiola and his Manchester City.
the backroom staff making their way into the building. The 8 p.m. kickoff. Sevilla are our opponents as we welcome our first player off the coach. Make some noise for Aymeric Laporte. Walking up a very wet blue carpet. Make some noise for Ruben Diaz. Followed by Rico Lewis, Rodri. Following Rodri, we have got Cole Palmer. We've got Nathan Ake. Make some noise for Bernardo Silva. Followed by John Stones, Ederson, Scott Carson, Ilkay Gundogan, Stefan Ortega. Next off the bus, make some noise for Sergio Gomez. Followed by Phil Foden.
A very good evening. Welcome to the Matchday Live studio. Massive thank you to Danny Jackson there live from West Reception as the boys got off the bus for their Champions League fixture. Final one of the group game against Seville, and joining me to my left, as you've just seen there, we have got an awesome duo in the form of Karen Bardsley and Nedum Onuoha. A very good evening. Karen, maybe hoping for at least a goal tonight, possibly.
Yeah, after last time, I think a goal would be delightful. Yeah. I'd really like to see one. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think hopefully it will be on the cards. Although, Nedum, it's strange to say our last 2 fixtures in the Champions League, Copenhagen and then Dortmund, 0-0.
Yeah.
I can't remember when that's last happened.
Yeah, to be honest, Nook and I worked both of those games, so I'm hoping it's not me, but we'll see after today, I guess.
I hope so. I mean, I was going to say it would be Sean Wright Phillips, but he got a better offer to go on the trophy tour in Korea at the moment.
Oh, is that where he's at?
Yeah, he flew out today. He's meant to be here.
Was that part of his birthday surprise as well?
Possible, yeah, it was actually, maybe. Speaking of birthdays as well, we have got team news, but we want to wish a very happy birthday to Mr. Paul Dickoff. He, I won't say what number he celebrated it, but it was a big one yesterday. I think he's celebrating in a box somewhere tonight. Okay, so Seville.
What kind of box?
You'll probably see that as well, actually. Okay, so we can now bring you our team news. This is the starting 11 to take on Seville at the Etihad Stadium. Kick-off 8 o'clock. It looks like this. We've got Ortega returning to the sticks. Ederson drops to the bench. Look at that. Young Rico Lewis. He made his debut earlier on in the Champions League in the season, and he starts tonight alongside Ruben Diaz, Aymeric Laporte, and Gomez comes back after serving that 1-match suspension. Then in the middle, and we're going to try and work out this formation, we're thinking it's going to be Gundogan holding, of course, captain in the side. Phil Foden alongside Jack Grealish. Now that is exciting. And a forward 3 consisting of Riyad Mahrez, Cole Palmer and Alvarez down the middle. On our bench, we have Ederson. We have got Carson, Stones, Ake, Cancelo. We've got Rodri, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva and Wilson Esbrand. Karen, obviously I'm going to start in the position you know so well. Ortega comes back into the fold.
I mean, ask you about the 9, sorry.
What did you make of his kind of appearance when he was last playing for us, of course, last week?
Yeah, I thought, it wasn't the busiest of games, but, for what he did have to do, I thought he did it really well. He's a good shot stopper. He proved that he's very competent. He's arguably was one of the best in the Bundesliga. His kicking, I thought, was good. His decision-making was excellent. So he kind of made the right decisions in terms of when to clear his lines, when to play short. So, yeah, I think he's slotted right in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And how difficult is that? Because obviously we know Ederson is number one. When you're on the bench and you're not getting played, but you kind of have to be ready for that moment, it's got to be difficult, I guess, mentally to make sure you're at the best when you need to be.
I think what's really interesting kind of about where Ortega is at the minute is that he's come off the back of pretty successful Bundesliga experience, and now this is going to be a bit of a step up. And obviously, shifting over to City's methodology, it's going to be a bit of a learning curve. So it kind of works out pretty nicely, but he's going to have his own development points, the things that he's going to want to work on, and he'll be knocking on the door and saying, like, I want some time. I mean, everybody wants some time.
Everyone wants. I'd come out of retirement for some time now. But in regards to what you're saying about methodology, I think that's the key thing, really, in terms of seeing how well he's doing, because when he plays, City don't play differently. I think that's the key, and it might seem like a really dull point, but as you look around, say, Europe and the like, there's some times where if the main person isn't playing, somebody else comes in, you see a fundamental change in that other side, and they lose out on something. But in Ortega, the way that he moves the ball, say the distribution that you mentioned before, the command of the penalty box, the communication, like, whoever comes up against City are going to get the same version of City.
Yes.
You might be missing some of that extra bit of magic that Ederson's shown us across the years, but the fact is, like, City play the same way. He's great with his feet, wants to move it left, wants to move it right. People know they can play to whoever, and as a consequence, like, I've seen this as a player. I don't know if it's the same for you. If you ever see a new player in goal for a team, you always see the manager say, get some balls like right above his head, go and try and foul him, go and try and press him and all this stuff. But very quickly you see with Ortega, you press him and he just rolls it to the side same way like Ederson does. It's spirit killing. That's what it is. So fair play to him.
Soul destroyer.
Like when you can't win the ball back off a keeper because he's great with his feet, like you just think like what are we doing here? But that's the beauty of City, I guess.
I think what's really fun about the goalkeeping union at the moment, particularly with the men, is that they are all different in their own way, but they all kind of complement the team slightly differently as well. So there'll be elements that Ortega will bring that Ederson probably won't, and vice versa. So but to your point, like, yeah, the way they play, the style, the efficiency doesn't change. So it's pretty cool.
And I guess just as well, once again, you have to give credit to Cheeky as well, because it's just another player that he's brought in that fits into this City team seamlessly. And there was a lot of love on Twitter for him as well.
Yeah, but then also like Xabi, who the goalkeeper coach, who's kind of like getting the best out of him, building on those key principles, and it's really fun to watch them develop. And I've had the good fortune of watching him train earlier this week, and it's great to be kind of back around them, back on the grass with them, because even Scott Carson, he just drives the session.
Yeah,
like he's left.
I've known Scott for a long time. Like, believe it or not, we're basically the same age. That blows people's minds. But yeah, Scott's a good guy as well. So I'm happy to see him do well.
It's because of the beard, though, isn't it?
He's looked like that since he was 17. That's the funny thing about it. That's literally who Scott Carson is. But yeah, he's a good guy for sure.
He's great for the group. He's
the love for him as well. And we also know, if you've seen any of the City Plus documentaries, the bromance between him and Ederson I think is magic, isn't it? Let's move a little bit up the pitch then, Nedum, to your position, and we've got to mention it.
Right, okay.
Young Rico Lewis starting in the Champions League. Obviously, he made his debut a few games ago in the Champions League, but starting on a night like tonight, how do you think he'll be feeling, and how impressed have you been from what you've seen of him so far?
I think he'll obviously have to, it's annoying because I don't really know him, so I can't be too specific. But based on the way that I saw him play in that first game, I think it was against Copenhagen, I think he'll be excited because the way he approached it was very much on the front foot. I think you see some players who come in and they're quite timid in terms of the way they play. They don't want to go forward, don't want to take too many touches. Like, it can be very easy to hide in some games, but he's very much at the forefront of everything that, say, needed to be done on that side.
Yes.
So here's like the best case scenario in some ways, a game which is in the Champions League where you're playing at home and you can try and do everything that they want of you, not worry as much about the consequence because the belief is there. But the sort of, not the narrative as such, but the pressure sort of isn't. It's almost like self-imposed. You want him to do well. The manager knows that he can do well, so go out and do well against a good Sevilla side, who are going to be one of the favourites for the Europa League, I think, from the fact when they enter it. So I think he's really good. That's Sevilla. That's what they do. That's literally what they do. Sevilla in the Champions in Europa League, they win it. But anyway, so I'm looking forward to seeing how he plays. And I think he'll try and express himself. He'll try and stay within the structure. But the most impressive thing for me is that he's not a one-way player who just bombs forward. He defends really well as well. And he's going to be tested today, whoever he's up against. And it's great. I love watching the youngsters play in Champions League.
I think as well, 17 still possibly, and he's just about turned 18. He'd said to him, there's a great interview where he says his dream is to make his Champions League debut before he's 18. And the following week he did it. I think I can only recall Foden, maybe at 17, being around the team. It says so much, particularly when Pep trusts you at that age, doesn't it, Karen?
Oh, gosh. If you have someone like Pep singing your praises, and giving you opportunities, it means he believes in you. And the messages that are coming out before this game, especially from Pep, he even alluded to it and said it in his press conference, was that no one needs to do anything special. You're getting an opportunity because you're doing the simple things right. You're doing what's been asked of you, and you're doing it to a very high standard. So I think that's going to be something reassuring when he steps on the pitch tonight, and he knows that all I have to do is just continue doing what I'm doing. I don't have to, continue to get forward and bang in, wicked crosses and things like that. It's just just defend well and join in when necessary.
There are different, the stuff which we don't see, which is the bigger picture stuff, is like going through different stages, playing for an older age group, playing for the 23s when you're younger, like training with the first team. You know, he's not just going to be here because he trained with the first team once, like 6 months ago. Like, he's part of that whole system. So Pep has seen him and some of the other youngsters in and around that team, and he knows that they can work well together. Like, that's such a huge compliment, especially because you said, is he 17 or is he 18?
Yes, no, I don't think he's turned. He's either just turned or he's in a couple of weeks. He's 18.
He could be playing for the 23s for another 5 years, but then instead he's actively about to start in the Champions League on a match day alongside. Think of all the other teams and stuff that are playing at this time. Like, that's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing to be with the first team at that age. It's even greater again to be on the field starting in a game like this, and you'll be absolutely buzzing. And I'm sure he's going to maintain the high standard that got him to where he is today.
I was right. 19 days till he's 18.
Good effort.
Oh, my word.
November, yeah.
Good effort.
Unbelievable.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. He's doing all right.
It's not bad.
Well, another young player as well, and we're going to come to. We'll start there. The middle three, because we're used to seeing Grealish over on the left.
The alleged middle three.
Foden's been over on the right. Well, we're trying to work. But are we thinking here in the studio, Gundogan obviously holding, and we're going to see Jack and Phil maybe in the middle? Do we think?
I mean, that would be an amazing combo, wouldn't it?
Oh.
Like, I am really, like I was saying before we went live, it would be great if we just saw them doing a bit of like a 1v1 competition, trying to see how many people they could make, how many they could sit down. So, you know, it's a real great opportunity to bring in that like attacking threat, because you don't really see it a whole lot anymore. It's like someone really running at someone and taking it on. And I think they're going to have a lot of attacking freedom. So, like, I mean, I'm sure Phil is going to be absolutely buzzing to just kind of get as much time as possible and, you know, hopefully bang some goals in. Same with Jack. I mean, he's been playing really well, you know, coming on the inside, supporting Haaland when Haaland was obviously fit. But he's so good at creating space for his teammates as well to kind of either take another midfielder away or drag a defender in and allow for channels or balls in behind to run onto. So, yeah, I really hope that it is the kind of combo we're hoping it's going to be.
Absolutely, yeah. And as well, we can't forget as well, Jack as well with also got the free kick at the weekend, which ended up getting the goal against Leicester. So he's creating a space and also draws those fouls. Well, I mean, there's two players that know Sevilla and put the ball in the back of the net is Diaz and Foden. It's always spoke about Nedum, and I think among City fans, but also I think in pundits alike, the idea of seeing Phil in the middle. Why is that, and what do you hope to see from him when he's had the chance to play in the centre of midfield?
As we say, this is on the assumption that he is playing.
He is, of course.
Yeah, we never know. He might be in the 6, he might be playing in the 9. Who knows? You know, to be fair, though, that's how skilled he is. That's how skilled he is. But I think there was a time, I think it was this year, when he was playing that position for England, and he was really, really good. Because one thing that Phil has, firstly, primarily, it's like this desire to win, this incredible first touch, the vision, all that stuff. And he's also got lots of speed, so when he plays higher up, he can really go and take it to people, great quality on the ball. But I think for that time when he played for England, he was getting a bit deeper. He was always getting on the half turn because that's what he does. And he's looking for those passes. And instead of being the person who's highest most of the time and you can't necessarily find those passes, now he can see them and play them.
Yes.
Because I'd imagine that's who he is. There's so many people that can see that, you know, maybe his long-term future is going to be playing in the 8. But then it's like, but when's that? Well, you remember he's like 21 years of age. You know, it's so hard to sort of like remember that fact. He's 21 years of age.
Yeah, I know.
He too could spend another 2 years playing for the 23s, yet still here we are. But it's his range of passing, it's his vision, it's his movement. The fact he could then make some of those runs in the box, because I thought, you know, when City were doing more of a false 9, I also thought he was the best person at doing that.
Yeah.
You know, so he's got a sense of the perfect time to go and get in the box, and he's so experienced. He just knows how to sort of handle the tempo within a game. As I said, when I saw him do it for England, he was magnificent. And that sort of management of tempo in a game, because it can go slow, then he can inject some speed into it. And not everybody can do that, but I think he's special at that.
I wanted to pick you up on that, and I know you're nodding there, because Pep's talked about that. I think he calls it pauser, where he talks about kind of you having to know when to slow the game down and when to quicken it up. A very obvious and basic question. What does that do to the game? Why is that important, Karen, in that role?
Well, I mean, I think first and foremost, it kind of keeps the opposition wondering what's going to happen. It keeps them questioning and guessing, like, you know, are they going to slow it down and try and dribble and penetrate? Are they going to kind of like look to lure you in and kind of then attack when you do press? You know, I think not only does it kind of adds an element of being uncomfortable, but it also, I don't know, it allows you to rest on the ball sometimes as, you know, when you're in possession, but then it also kind of makes the opposition switch off a little bit sometimes.
Interesting, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Rocks,
So
rocks you to sleep,
yeah,
basically.
yeah, you know, and so it allows you to kind of. You have to be so disciplined, I think, sometimes when you play City, because if you don't get the press right, if you don't get the timing right, you know, you're going to leave massive gaps. And every single player on the pitch is good enough to expose you if you're not doing your job and you're not on top of it 100% of the time. You know, so I think that tempo, it's a difficult thing to understand in terms of when to do it, but the people who do it the best, like, they'll tear you apart if you're not on it.
That's that Gundogan, it's David Silva, it's them type of players we've seen do it. I want to mention before we go on to Cole Palmer, a great stat about Jack Grealish, because it seems everyone outside the club loves to point out some stats about his goals and assists, but here's one for you, everyone.
Oh, here we
Jack
go.
Grealish has produced a shot, 31, more than any other Manchester City player in the Champions League this term, and he's created more chances from open play, which is 10, than any of his teammates. So it just goes to show his involvement really is there.
Yeah, it's perfectly reasonable, and it's true. I think City fans have watched him and they know his value. But from the outside, you watch highlights and you see names appear on like notifications, so you never really get a full sort of like.
True.
You never get a full flow of how a game's going. You know what I mean? People's perceptions of who's doing well isn't necessarily true in terms of the ones who are actually watching the game. But the fact is, if he's playing, if he's being selected by Pep, he's being trusted by his teammates, then he must be doing something right, because it's very easy to be replaced.
I think you hear all the time about like these random stats that just kind of keep getting like bumbled about, and then like the hot topic now is obviously expected goals, you know. But who Jack Grealish is kind of like one of those the no stat hero, like the things that don't get tracked, like he's really, really good at. The things that people deem as less important don't get tracked. You know? So to your point, like drawing fouls, to your point around, you know, creating set piece opportunities to score, the match winner against Leicester, like crucial key points for throughout the course of a season. And those things like second balls, first contacts, like no one, like they're not sexy stats, are they?
No, but they're the detailed stats that make a difference.
Do you know what it is? Like, this is to talk about, say, playing football, playing soccer in America.
Whoa.
No, it's an interesting thing. It would help out your case and your narrative, because in the MLS they do double assists sometimes. So, for example, when City played Copenhagen and Jack went on a run past 3 players, then played a ball to Mahrez, who then crossed it in for someone to tap in that instance, Jack would get an assist. But because of the British system, or the more commonplace world system, what Jack did doesn't matter, because it was Mahrez that got the assist.
Okay,
so even if like Mahrez would have taken one touch and rolled it 1 yard for someone to tap in, like you'd only sort of praise those two, but the bigger picture piece is that you wouldn't have arrived there without direct.
Do you know, I can see that coming, and then it'll be in fantasy football, and it's too much that.
It's not coming, mate.
I can't deal with it as it is. Do you know what I mean? Having an assist of assists as well.
It's so good though if it did.
Yeah, but it's not coming. If it's coming from America and it's to do with football, as you've seen, there's a bit of resistance at the borders. So
resistance at the border.
Let's not buy into that.
Final talking point. Obviously, Julian Alvarez down the middle. We're going to assume Mahrez loves that right-hand side. Cole Palmer, we've seen glimpses of him. Pep said at the start of the season, this is his season to really be integrated into the first team. How excited are you seeing him tonight? And you were saying you've seen him buzzing around in training as well a couple of days ago.
I don't know if this is going to be a compliment, but it's meant to be one, so take it for what it's worth. But I saw him like in some of the small-sided stuff, and even back in the academy, he's like a terrier. Like literally, he just chases everything down. You know, so much enthusiasm, so much passion for what he's doing. He like fully believes in everything that he's being told. He fully believes in his teammates. He's just so committed, you know. And I think, like, really, if we take it down to the key fundamentals, like that's what City fans want to see. Like they want to see someone that loves to play, absolutely grafts, will like give everything they've got, you know, for this game. And I think that's what we can expect to see from Cole Palmer tonight.
Absolutely. And I guess as well, he's had the chance to be learning from your Grealishes and Fodens and Mahrez's, but it'd be nice to see what his spin on all those games is. What does he bring to the table? Yeah. What do you think he does bring, Nedum?
Do you know what? He's different. He's got a bit of size to him, to be fair, height-wise. Like, I think he's getting stronger. And he's very good at sort of like faking to shoot and things like that. He can manipulate the defenders very, very well. And I think when he does start going forward, he's a tough one to read, because I think, as is the case with most other players, as soon as you play for like 1 or 2 years, everyone's got the footage of you. They kind of know what your tendencies are. But at this stage, I don't think his tendencies are set according to how people perceive him. So when he goes out there, he knows he can be more off the cuff when he's taking somebody on and really benefit from that. And he's very good at manipulating the ball. And for me, like, all I want to see now is more sort of like more end products, whether it's like it's a through ball, it's the shots, it's the crosses, because some of that stuff just 1v1, like, is as good as they come.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be bringing some of that, and as every game passes, you'll understand the things which make an objective difference, as opposed to the things which he thinks sort of like make him, not necessarily make him feel good, but will believe that he's done well.
Yes.
Because when you look at City's, say, normal starting lineup, how much flair is involved in that versus how much effectiveness is involved in that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's about the right pass, the right decision, the right place, and it's not necessarily about beating 2-3 players.
Mm-hmm.
And for Cole, he can make some of those passes that other people can. He's got the same speed as some of those other people, and he can arrive in the same areas. So now, say when Mahrez got the ball on the right wing, assuming that he's on the left, is he in at the back post getting ready for a tap-in? Or is he pushing off to the side, waiting for a ball to try and take someone on?
Yes.
There's a subtle difference. You're there very much involved in both elements, but one's more effective than the other.
Yeah.
Even though one might look nicer than the other.
That's so interesting. And I guess as well, that's the learning curve that anyone has to have coming into the City system. That's fascinating. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Nedum. Thank you for tuning in. We are on Match Day Live. And I'll tell you what I would love to know, if you've just seen the starting 11 there, I wonder what the average age of this squad is, because I'm looking at it going, most of them players are under 25, which is quite amazing, really. Now, of course, we want you involved in the show. And later on, we're also going to have a little vote. So take note of this number. It's our WhatsApp number. It's where you can also put in questions for our guests, or maybe pass comment about the team or anything that we're talking about on the show. Remember, we love to hear from you, so please do get involved. Now, tonight's opponents come in the form of a Sevilla, struggling slightly at the moment, and of course, not done all too well in the Champions League, but as Nedum says, maybe the Europa League is their tournament. But we can now see their starting 11, and it looks like this. Bono in goal, and then we've got Montiel, we've got Carmona and Marcao at the back, then we've got Rekic, Aguna, Gomez, Delaney, name that we'll all know, Rakitic, captain in the side, another one there, Isco, and Mur there to complete the 11 on the bench as well. You can see just below there. Nedum, difficult for Seville. They're enduring a difficult season over in La Liga, obviously down to a lot of signings and transfers that left, and they didn't actually were able to pull in too many replacements. Struggled in the Champions League, and now they're coming to Manchester City at the Etihad. I mean, what's the chat amongst them there on the coach or in the dressing room?
Well, I've been lucky enough to say been in squads that win loads of games, but I've also been in squads which have been struggling for form. And when you're struggling for form, with every game that you arrive at, especially the ones against like big sides, is this going to be the result that sparks your season? So as they travel here, knowing that they're out of the competition, I think, Karen, you were saying that they've got their derby this weekend, is it, against Betis? Like, that's a huge game. You can arrive in that huge game by winning another huge game here. If they can find a result against Man City, maybe outplay Man City, maybe win the game, especially at the Etihad, then that really sets them up for that next fixture. Yes. And I think they have a new manager in play who probably understands that. So for them, like, even though they're out of this competition, like, this is an important game for them, because, you know, some people might say the game doesn't matter. Well, if they lost 3-4-0, I guarantee it'd matter, because some of the voices in the changing room might be a bit louder than, say, you'd hear otherwise.
Yes.
And so, as I say, they're a good side. They're not in the best moment, but that's football. You get 38 opportunities every season to sort of do something. And that's outside of these sorts of competitions. So I imagine they'll come in with the right intentions, try and play the right football, impress the new old manager. And also, just to make a point, Karim Rekic used to be at City, and I used to train with him.
I was thinking that.
That's Karim Rekic,
yeah,
I used to train with him when he signed him when he was 16, I think he was. And I was actually training with him the summer of 2011, the summer where City came and won the league. So that's when he was first arriving at the football club.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, he's got. So I think this might be his first time back as well.
Yeah.
So I'm sure this will be a nice moment for him. And yeah.
What was he like as a player?
Oh, it's class.
Yeah.
He was. So he was 16.
Is he
was
Dutch?
He was 16. He was playing for the 18s, and he's well done. You've just remembered his name. You know what I mean? You're trying to big yourself up.
Yeah, hang on, listen though. Stop pulling. Listen.
Yeah. Dutch. Yeah.
Go on, tell us about him.
He was a very, very good prospect back then. Obviously, it didn't work out for him at City, but then it just goes to show again the nature of City's academy and the like, because he's playing in the Champions League after leaving Man City. So the end of the day, it's not the end of the world, is it?
No, he's doing all right.
Yeah, he's doing just fine, yeah.
Another player who will be hoping that his goal, Isco, of course, which he scored in the Champions League. That's the first time he scored since he scored against us when he was playing for Real Madrid. An obvious danger man, obviously, to keep an eye out for tonight, Karen.
Yeah, I think overall, I think that Nedum raises a lot of really great points around, this being an opportunity to create some positive movement and energy and momentum for the squad going into the weekend and the rest of the season. But yeah, they're kind of like a bit of a random side, really. Like they kind of do really well to kind of pick up players from across Europe, and like they're kind of scrappy, but they make it work, you know. And so like I don't want to take anything away from what their history has said that they can do in terms of being so successful in the Europa League. But yeah, you're right. They're going to be really looking to Isco to kind of, and obviously like Rakitic to kind of drive the team performance, really. So about being that leader, and setting the tempo. And so yeah, it's kind of like, it's just, I'm not really sure what to make of what tonight's going to look like.
Well, I think we're looking at the team. It possibly be 5 at the back, which we've seen, obviously, a lot of teams do at City. So maybe, can you see an element of trying to contain and maybe hit us on the break? Possibly, Nathan, are you thinking? Nah. Just
It's like a free hit, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? If they come and they like park the bus, it's like,
that'd be so disappointing.
You should leave your bus at the airport. You know what I mean? Like, it's a game which anyone tuning in to will want to see like the players be expressive, because some of the players who are playing for arguably both sides have got a point to prove if they want to be selected going forward. So if you come into that and you just want to just be solid and say try and keep a clean sheet and solely that, then I think it kind of misses the point. Yes, you want to be defensively good, but you want to have a two-way game where you attack really well as well.
Yes.
So I imagine for Seville, that's why you've got Rakitic in there trying to link up with Isco, Rafa Mir, and they're going to be. They'll be good. They'll surprise a few people, and I guess the sentiment, the fact that they've not made it through to the next round of the Champions League, is a blow for them. But they're a good side. There's a reason why they'll be one of the favourites for the Europa League, and there's a good chance that we'll see that today, because they won't be scared of City. Like, they might not be in good form, but their approach will remain the same, be consistent to their values, and historically they're a very good footballing side. Yeah,
of course, and I think Pep said it in his pre-match conference as well. He said, I'd love to have Seville's trophy cabinet.
Right.
So that speaks for itself. Thank you for joining us. If you've just tuned in, Cel Spellman with you on Matchday Live, as is Nedum and Karen Bardsley. And we've just brought you the Seville team news. And speaking of Seville, our EDS were in action tonight to complete their UEFA Youth League campaign. They finished top of the group. They also finished undefeated. They won 1-0, and we can hear from their coach now, Brian Murphy.
Brian, a great end to the campaign, a win and a clean sheet.
Yeah, it's very satisfying. I think the players earned the right to go and to play this game, and in, I suppose, a celebration of what they've done in the group stages. So to get the victory at the end of what has been an outstanding campaign was testament to the lads and their performances, and we can't wait for the next knockout stage to come around in February or March.
You had a lot of possession during that game. It felt like you had to be very patient to create those opportunities. Were you happy with the way that went?
Yeah, very pleased. It probably didn't look a spectacular game on the eye, but in a weird sort of way, I quite enjoyed the challenge that Sevilla posed us, and for our players to have to adapt and overcome that in another game was another significant part of the journey in Europe, and very satisfied at the end of the day.
Yeah, and obviously Sevilla were looking to play on the counter-attack, and you shut them down whenever they had the opportunity to break.
Yeah, I think our players, like I said, have earned the right to have that type of performance in Europe, and I think we have to understand the opponent can do whatever they want to do. So for them to come and set up in that manner was entirely their prerogative, but we have to find a way to overcome that, and we did today. So I'm very pleased with the lads, and very excited for the next part of the campaign.
Yeah, and obviously you qualified going into this game. Did that give you an opportunity to make some changes and give some of the younger lads a chance?
Yeah, absolutely. It gave us a chance to play a lot of the members of the squad who've given us outstanding contributions to this camp, but probably haven't had the minutes that they felt they deserved. So to get them an opportunity to play in the competition was significant for me, and it's still a hugely prestigious competition from our point of view as a club. So to get that exposure in this game was ideal for me, really, from a number of different facets.
Yeah, so obviously gone through the group stage now, top the group. That's a big achievement in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's great for the players. I think the margins in Europe are very fine. So to come out on the right side of those for us is is testament to the players and their work rate and their dedication in this competition. The next part of the competition is going to be even more difficult, but it's something that we want our players to feel and be exposed to, so it's hugely exciting for us all moving forward.
Yeah, obviously it doesn't start again until the new year, but gives you something to look forward to in the dressing room. And what is the mood like in the dressing room when these European games come around?
I think it's one of real excitement and a real anticipation of kind of the unknown. We don't know a lot about the opponents we face, whereas in the UK and in our respective leagues we tend to know a lot about the opponents. I think it's very, very significant for our players to feel that and have that experience. I suppose that is a small taste of what our first team players kind of faced every season, so for us to get that is huge for us all, myself included.
And obviously you split off now from the first team. You'll get your own opponents, so that adds a sort of another layer of excitement to it all.
Yeah, I've obviously never experienced it before, so I think we always kind of go off in our own direction now, hopefully for what is a long journey, but obviously the next game is going to be the most significant because there is that knockout element, and what we want our players to be exposed to at this club is a real sense of playing in those big games under big expectations and having to deal with that and play the way we do. So it'll provide a priceless example of what our players have to deal with, and hopefully we'll overcome.
Terrific. Thanks ever so much for your time, Brian.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
So, massive congratulations to Brian Murphy and his EDS side. 1-0 winners against Sevilla earlier on today, top of the group and undefeated. Quick word on that, Nedum. I mean, if it's not our starting 11 doing it, it's the under-23s.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the thing that sort of surprised me, I think the last time they'd qualified from the group, was it like 4 years ago or something? That really threw me off. But then you look at them this year and they appear so dominant. So fair play to them, and just fair play to the competition. Like, as a youngster, I would have loved to have been able to play against sides like that and to have the context of those big away days in Europe, because when you were younger you'd maybe go to a tournament, but to go specifically for a match against this that has this wider context, that's really exciting. To even have thought of playing in the Champions League as a youngster, it's absolutely incredible, and it's great to see that they're performing and enjoying the journey as well.
Absolutely. Now we have got a brilliant VT on the way from Mr. Whippy himself, Ilkay Gundogan, speaking about his Champions League journey. And not before I've just picked up on a little thing that was brought up here in broadcasting in the UK from BT. They were speaking to Pep Guardiola ahead of the game, and they asked him who's going to be playing in midfield. And in true Pep fashion, his response was, they'll decide for themselves. Karen, is he serious there, do you think? I mean, we know how structured and regimented he is.
I just love the nonchalance. I think that it's just so great. It's like, don't even worry about it. Listen, I think when you put it down to the quality throughout this squad, and you put it down to how well versed each and every player is in the principles and the identity of the team, essentially, especially in the midfield and what we've seen in the back, you can become a 4, you can become a 3, you can play with 2 centre backs and the wing backs get forward and overload. It could be 5 in the middle, it could be 5 up top. So essentially I think what he's trying to say is they work on principles of space and recognizing where the space is and how to exploit it and how to manipulate the opposition. So arguably starting formations or positions are irrelevant, you know. Like, they are that good that they can. What is it that they say sometimes in Germany about this space interpreter? Who was that? Was that Mueller? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so it's about how you interpret where to attack and where the spaces are, and essentially like how to get the ball there, who's got to make that decision, and where the support is. Yeah,
that's right. I think that's a very, very good point, because I think as you look through the midfield. You're welcome. You're welcome. But, say we've seen Gundogan play the 6. You've also seen him play the 8. You've also seen him pop up in the box and be the lead person in there.
Yeah.
But one thing about the sort of football intelligence that they have and the coaching that they have, if, say, Gundogan flies forward, I guarantee one of the other people will drop back in. You know, it's that level of understanding of like the nature of the game itself. Maybe if they fly forward, then you'll see Gomez come into the midfield. Maybe you'll see Rico Lewis come into the midfield. Like, that's how fluid it is. And ultimately, for Pep to say that, I'm guessing whoever asked him the question, he probably wasn't really having them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Throw to somebody.
Love that.
But the fact is, there's some level of truth within it, because this is why they're one of the best sides, because they can prepare, and City know exactly what they're going to do. But for Seville, they have no clue. Like, as the away team, or just as the other team sometimes playing against certain sides, the team sheet comes in as like this moment of like, okay, let's see, is such and such playing, and so on and so forth. And then you'll see the coaches all gather together. They've got a sheet of paper out. They've got all the names down. So, okay. And then they bring out a big sheet of paper to write the formation down. They'll be like...
It's just a bunch of question marks, isn't it?
Yeah, literally. And they give, like a coach will always give their best interpretation of what they believe it's going to be. But when you play against Man City, that could be completely wrong. And I think that's the beauty of how good that they are, because then you can't ever really prepare your team to face them because you don't know who's going to be anywhere at any point.
And I guess on the other side of that, though, in Manchester City's dressing room, they're not really bothered about what players are starting like there because they go, we're going to play our game regardless.
Yeah, like I said, I think they know exactly what they've been asked to do. They know their roles, they know the structure, and you know, to one of my earlier points, it's about going out there and doing what you do well and doing the simple things right, you know, and that when you do get the opportunity to have that little flair in the final third, then do it, you know, go and execute that. But what I think is really funny is like what we were talking about maybe last time out. I think we were talking about the fact that the opposition doesn't obviously have a clue, but neither do we. Really.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
We as experts,
we're like trying to figure it out. Like, it could be
experts,
this, it could be that, but really, like, we'll find out, won't we?
To sum up the difference, like kind of permission to tell a story.
Oh, Nedum, you never have to ask for permission with me.
Okay, so there's a difference between, say, this Man City side and perhaps the QPR side I played in the Championship, yeah? There's a slight difference.
Did you play in the QPR side, did you?
In the Championship, yeah, and in the Premiership as well, but in the Championship, there's a slight difference, okay? So we had a manager, Ian Holloway, some of you might know him, he's quite eccentric and all that stuff, but he had some good ideas. Interestingly, the first time I saw this idea of a defender stepping into midfield, he actually brought it to our team. We had a game one day and he put up 2 formations. He said, this is us in defence, this is us in attack. And there was one player who was like in the back line for defending, and in midfield, I was like, that's weird, but it's a bit of a hit now. But one thing which he did one pre-season, he said, right, okay, so I need 3 forwards, okay? The left winger, the right winger, and the 9 to stay high so that you pin back the back 4, okay? He said, never 2 players, never 4, but always 3. And if the 9 drops in, maybe the 10 can go high. And he used to record the training sessions for a month straight, every single day. He'd watch the video back. He said, oh, God, they've done it again. There's only 2. Oh, there's 4. Every day for a month. And the way he described it, he said it's like he's bought himself this new swimming pool and he's filled it up, gone to bed, woken up, and it's empty again. So every day he's coming in, he's filling it up, filling it up. That. Whereas for Pep and this side, the talk is when a cross comes into the box, there need to be 3 players in there. He doesn't say it has to be the forward, the left winger, and the this. So there have to be 3 players in there. And lo and behold, when the cross comes in, there are 3 players in there.
Yes.
When we're attacking, we need 2 6s. It doesn't say, I need you, Ilkay, and you, such and such, to be there. It's 2 6s.
Yeah.
So when they're doing it, they're 2 6s. The only place where there's real objective structure is the 2 centre-backs.
Yes.
That's literally 2 centre-backs and the goalkeeper. Aside from that, it's people being in the right positions to suit any particular attack.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the right back that's in this slot. There has to be a player there, and I think all those players, they recognise it and they almost do it perfectly all the time. Which is what makes them a bit different to my QPR side from back then.
Why do you think you guys struggled to get it?
No, listen, don't say you guys. It's the attackers. I'm going to throw them under the bus. It's the attackers. We had some defensive ideas for that season. We did them just fine. But the attackers, they just didn't get it. And I think it's because, for some...
It was a new concept? Do you think that's why?
No, it's quite simple. It's literally quite simple. It said 3 people up here. So you recognise your position on the field. You look to your left, you look to your right. Oh, there's somebody there, great. Or if you're not part of the 3 and you see someone coming short, it's my role to switch this. But there are some players who, and this is the difference between many, like, who really understand not just their role, but their role within the bigger picture.
In the bigger picture, yeah.
You know what I mean? But other people, they're only thinking about what they're doing and they forget how it affects the rest of the team. And a manager can see that and he can try and have the players that can sort of like perform that vision that he has. But not everybody's capable, which is why some people end up at Man City. And other people are still trying to figure out what the manager meant 5 years later. But that's none of my business, yeah.
Great story, though. Yeah, brilliant, Nedum. I think that's that's that idea, isn't it, of you buy into the team, the concept of the team, not kind of what you do on an individual basis.
That's why they're here, though. You know what I mean? Great individuals, even better team.
Speaking of team, probably one of the best team players, and he is our club captain, Ilkay Gundogan. We can now hear from him. He sat down with us and he talked about his Champions League journey so far and what he hopes from this season as well.
Mein Name ist Ilkay Gundogan und mein Spitzname ist Mr. Whippy. Wobei nicht in der Mannschaft, sondern das ist eher was von den Fans produziert ist. Also der Spitzname Mr. Whippy kommt aus der Saison von vor 2 Jahren, wo ich, glaube ich, weiß ich gar nicht, wie viele Pflichtspieltore ich da erzielt habe. Irgendwas um die 20, glaube ich. Und dann ist das einfach so irgendwann entstanden. Also ich habe es dann online nur gesehen, von Freunden, Bekannten geschickt bekommen. Wahrscheinlich, also so denke ich es mir, es wurde mir nie erklärt, ehrlich gesagt, aber ich denke, aufgrund der Anzahl der Tore, die ich geschossen habe und wie ich den Ball quasi ins Tor gezirkelt habe, hier nennt man es ja Whipped. Und ja, so ist es entstanden. Hinzu kommt, dass ich persönlich sehr, sehr gerne Eiscreme auch mag. Ich kann damit gut leben, ja, das passt.
Ilkay Gundogan, nicknamed Mr. Whippy after the famous British ice cream brand, has collected 4 Premier League titles during his 6 previous seasons at Manchester City. But the captain's and the club's quest for a first Champions League trophy continues.
Der Fußball spielt natürlich eine extrem große Rolle in meinem Leben, schon seitdem ich ein Kind bin. Ich kann mich an die Champions League erinnern, seitdem ich ein kleines Kind bin. Ich habe selbst dann teilweise Dienstag, Mittwochs noch trainiert im Heimatverein oder damals auch mit 15, 16 dann beim VfL Bochum in der Jugend. Irgendwie mit dem Fahrer um, weiß ich nicht, 21 Uhr, 21.30 Uhr, quasi kurz nach Hause gekommen, schnell die Tasche ausgepackt, meine dreckigen Sachen schnell in die Wäsche geschmissen, damit meine Mutter sie waschen konnte und direkt vom Fernseher, ohne was zu essen, ohne irgendwie nachzudenken. An die Zeit erinnere ich mich extrem gerne, das sind Momente, an die ich mich extrem gerne zurückerinnere und die mich wahrscheinlich auch als Mensch auch geprägt haben.
Born in Germany to Turkish parents, this year's final in Istanbul is of special significance to Gundogan. And with the summer arrival of Erling Haaland strengthening their cause, Man City and their new star forward have real hopes of bringing the famous trophy to Manchester.
Erling bringt natürlich uns unfassbar vieles. Also er bringt unfassbar vieles mit. Er ist natürlich eine Waffe, die wir so in den letzten Jahren nicht hatten. Wir hatten nicht diesen Zentrumstürmer, diesen bulligen, kantigen, der auch noch schnell ist, der auch mal den Ball halten kann und der aber auch im Strafraum einfach immer das Gespür dafür hat, wo der Ball auch landen kann und manchmal auch einfach nur den Fuß oder den Kopf. Das ist natürlich eine unfassbare Qualität, die er uns bringt. Und wir erhoffen uns natürlich schon, dass er uns dieses Jahr auch in diesen entscheidenden Momenten dann auch mit der Qualität weiterhelfen kann. Wenn man die Qualität hat, die wir hier haben, mit der Mannschaft, mit dem Verein, hat man auch irgendwo auch die Verantwortung, dieses Finale zu spielen. Und wir haben es in den letzten Jahren leider nur einmal geschafft. Trotzdem setzen wir Spieler alles daran, wieder in dieses Finale zu kommen. 2023 ist das Finale in Istanbul. Was gibt es Schöneres, als da das Finale zu spielen, für mich persönlich gerade?
It'll be something special for us all, Gundogan, and let's remember, I mean, he got to the final with Dortmund, he got to the final with Manchester City. 3rd time lucky, we can but dream. Thank you so much to everyone who's got in touch on WhatsApp and for sending in your questions for our guests. We're going to go through a few of them now, Nate. I'm going to be bringing you this first one from Roger, who says, apart from appearing on Matchday Live, what is Nedum doing these days? What isn't he doing these days is more the question.
I hear you everywhere.
Well, that's not necessarily true. Shout out to Roger for the question. And it's an interesting one, that, because I don't know if Roger is the type of person that's just seeing me where I live, just like in a Sainsbury's or a Tesco or something, or if Roger is just somewhere else in the world asking a general question. I'm just living a pretty normal life. I've got kids in school, spending some time with my wife.
Yeah.
Traveling a little bit, talking about football every so often, watching games. But yeah, I'm relaxed. I'm the exact opposite of what Mike is doing, which is everything. Like my calendar is very, very open and empty, and I like it that way. You know what I mean? Whereas for Mike, I think that sort of gives him anxiety, so we always find something to do. But that's fine. I'm more than happy to see him do everything and me just watch him on my TV.
Yeah, I mean, you're living the good life, Nedum.
I'm living a very, very normal life, and I'm very much enjoying it.
Good man. Well, thank you for that, Roger. This one came in from Marky Carroll.
Darren, and he says, what is the difference between being a pundit and playing the game? Now, obviously, Mark, not to point out the obvious, one's on the pitch and one's off. But I wondered, is there anything that has changed for you during that transition?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just thinking, I'm just like, yeah, I'm on a couch. Yeah, I think, when you're playing, obviously, the focus is you and your development and your performance, so that is what you think about every hour of the day, in preparation for not only training, but the end of the week as well. So you don't really get to do as much in terms of, the socials. You don't get to do as much of stuff like this. You don't get to watch as many games. Obviously, we've got them on TV and things like that. But at the same time, I don't know, everything is purely focused on what it is that you have to do at the end of the day, or the week, I should say.
So we're obviously adding layers to this question. But one thing about, say, punditry side of things compared to football is, how do you know whether you're doing well within this punditry side of things?
Stats.
But you never, as a broadcaster type, as a broadcaster, you don't really get shown data and stuff, and the stuff that we do now is kind of variable based on the nature of games and stuff. Like if there's a big talking point and we're involved in the show, the numbers will be higher, but it doesn't necessarily mean that people like what you're doing as much. So it's harder to sort of measure. So I think at this point, it's when it pays to have self-esteem, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or a good sense of humor.
One of the two. But I think that's a difference which I think some people might struggle with. I know there's some, I'll call them pundits out there, who try and say as much nonsense as possible because it means that people know their name and the profile grows.
Interesting.
But you don't necessarily do that within football except through performance. So I think that's one of the subtle differences, and some people can choose to try and just be as big a name as possible, whereas there are other people who try and create a career now based on quality, but the quality itself is always going to be in your mind as opposed to essentially how many numbers you get.
Yes.
Because you can talk nonsense and everyone know who you are, but is that really what you want to do?
Absolutely. I can say that I think, being on this show over the last couple of years, we are very lucky to have so many brilliant pundits across the board.
Just to say
two of the best
as well, we all, she's very good, but we all...
And Nedum, come on, Nedum, come on.
God, that paid me to say, but I was just going to say, all those people...
You're allergic to compliments,
if you believe that somebody talks nonsense out there in the media, they're probably doing it to try and grow their profile.
I know, I've got a few that
everyone knows who they are.
Yeah,
maybe text some of those into the number on
I'll
the screen
say one, because you won't leave my mate Jack alone, Graham Souness. Leave my mate Jack alone. I can hear you speak, mate. I cannot be bothered with it, all right?
What's his mustache?
Do
you think his upper lip is
Possibly, yeah. Right. I wanted just a final question, Karen, obviously, because it wasn't too long ago that you were playing. I mean, are you obviously, I think you're always going to miss playing football, but are you enjoying kind of a little step back and those things that you are talking about?
I really enjoy this aspect of things, like getting around characters like yourselves and, getting to watch football and talk about it, especially, City. I love everything about this club. So that's really fun. Everything else at the minute is all very new, so it's pretty challenging. I've just taken a new role at Man City as a project officer for the women's team, and if I'm being honest, yes, it's cool and interesting, but it's kind of like drinking from a fire hose at the minute. It's just full on. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, pretty picture, right? But that's kind of what it feels like at the minute. So yeah, it's pretty full on, but it's cool.
With football as well, the highs, if you're playing week in, week out and your team's winning and you feel good, it's incredible. But then think of the other side, if your body hurts and you're losing, say the ref blows a final whistle, you've lost your third game in a row, you're miserable, it's raining, I don't miss that. Literally, I look outside the window these days, and if it's wet, I'm staying indoors.
So
true. That feels incredible.
Yes.
Okay? And that is a constant that exists within my life now. It's not down to performance. It's do I walk out or do I stay in? As you can see, because it's November now, I'll mostly be staying in.
Staying in.
I don't miss the pain. Let's put it that way.
No, I bet you don't. Hibernation season as well as it's chill time now.
Exactly.
Thanks for just joining us. If you've just tuned in, we're going to recap some team news very, very shortly, and that's the WhatsApp number to get involved with the show. Now, we have all but sealed qualification. Not just that, we're finished top of the group with a game in hand, which does mean, of course, that we've got some potential opponents confirmed at the moment. moment, it's looking like it could either be Porto or Inter Milan or Benfica, and then obviously we can't meet Liverpool or Tottenham yet, so there's potentially Milan or Salzburg from Group E, Leipzig or Shakhtar from Group F, they're playing at the moment, and Frankfurt from Group D. I mean, out of a couple of those names, is there a preference of a team you'd like to meet? We know the quality in the Champions League is always consistent, but did any of them jump out? You go, that might be a bit of a preferable fixture.
I mean, I guess it depends what preferable means to you, you know,
True.
in terms of like if you want a really good game, like I don't know, Inter, it could be an interesting one. If you're looking at, you know, Leipzig's always quite fun. I mean, yeah, they're always quite fun to watch, and they're always trying to do something a little bit innovative. So I quite like watching them. Was it Porto that?
Porto, yeah.
They had the thing during the game where the referee, I don't know, there was like a high five or something like that. Did you see
did see that. Yeah, did see that actually.
Like just for that reason, I want to see this. I want to see them get through. So I mean, I want to see that game. So I just thought that was quite funny.
I did see that. It was
like a high five. They just left them hanging after. Like the ref walked by and went, yeah.
Cool. And I'd say anything like that though, the missed high five or handshakes generally in the media cracks me up every time. By the way, I can bring you as well. Leipzig are beating Shakhtar 4-0 at the moment, so it is looking like Leipzig. There are no easy fixtures, are there, Nedum? But getting top of the group, it does make it that little bit easier for you.
Easier? I think it depends. Relatively speaking, a team that finishes second in one group might finish top in another. So it's not necessarily to say that these teams are second rate. Like, for example, I think with Benfica, they're going to finish on the same amount of points as PSG, but they'll finish second because in the head-to-head. Yeah, exactly. So there's no real separation between them. And a lot of people fancy PSG to do really well this year. So I think it's a big deal because your second leg is at home. You know, you don't want to be going away somewhere and to be feeling the sort of pressure and environment of like the Champions League and a side that has to get a result having 40, 50,000 people backing them. Because that is, you know, that's a different sort of test. You'd rather get that out of the way first.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
I think that that's probably the biggest thing. And obviously, as I say, whoever you get drawn against, it's going to be a tough leg. It's the knockout rounds of the Champions League.
I have a question. So what if your form at home is rubbish? You know what I mean? And like naturally you seem to pick up points when you're away. Like, do you take that into consideration and try to finish second?
No, absolutely never. You know that's
I know, but I wanted to ask.
If you're a team if you've got a team that's got really bad home form, every week you play there, you're trying to rectify it because you know that will be one of your strengths going forward. Like if you can't somehow find a way to, I feel like you're more likely to do well at home versus away from home. So if you don't have it in any particular moment, you don't want to rely upon away games because, like, say as you progress through this tournament in theory, and let's say this isn't City now, whatever, you could be going to like Paris in the second leg, could be going to Munich in the second leg, in Madrid in the second leg. We've seen how hard that is. Like, if you're thinking, our away form's great, brilliant, now let's see what it's like in these iconic venues and situations, and you don't want to rely upon that. Home form is going to matter. Like, you know, referees are all very impartial until 50,000 people make your mind up for you. You know what I mean?
True.
So let's be clear about it. Like, being good at home matters, and I think whoever ends up winning the Champions League this year, there's a very good chance they'll have one of the best home records in the whole competition.
Statos to look up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
I mean, and the only other blessing is that it does mean finishing top, that we avoid Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, PSG and Napoli, who are my dark horses for this year's competition. They are.
Don't get sucked in by that, mate.
Oh, okay. There's another talking point there to be had later on. Another point. Okay. Let's have a little game now of higher or lower, a classic. And we, of course, have got Nedum and Karen here to play along, and you can play along at home as well. So we're going to be looking at UEFA Champions League debuts. So we're beginning with Rico Lewis, who made his debut aged 17 years old, 10 months and 14 days, if you want to be that precise. It's in the script. So now let's take a look at some of these more well-known players. And when they made their debut, was it higher or lower?
In the Champions League.
Wait, higher or lower than Rico Lewis?
Rico Lewis was 17 years old. Was Cristiano Ronaldo older or younger, higher or lower, when he made his debut? It was for Man United.
Is that say 18 years on the screen?
I can't
Have you given it away
I think
already?
brilliant. Well, brilliant. Can't get
Higher.
the staff, can you? In the gallery?
That's fine. I'm sure
Can't
it's 18
get
years
the
left.
staff. Right. Whoever's on graphics, just hold it now
Nah,
till we
throw,
get
give us the next
guest.
one. Give us more. Give us more. We need more.
We'll begin with Cristiano Ronaldo then, who was older than Rico Lewis. He was 18 years old, 7 months and 26 days. You're going to get right down into the days here. Next up, Lionel Messi. Was he older or younger, higher or lower
tough,
than
you know.
Ronaldo?
That's tough, you know.
Oh, then Ronaldo, 18.
Because Messi was... I feel like he started very early, didn't he?
He's always been around, hasn't he? But not necessarily
But if he...
the first team.
I want to say younger.
I'm going to say higher.
Okay, we'll stick with
Just
this.
for the
We'll stick
sake
with the
of
senior
it, yeah.
pro.
Okay, nice. Younger. As low as 17. He was 17 when he made his debut.
Oh, my word.
He was 17 years old, 5 months and 13 days. Was Phil Foden older? This is tough this week.
Phil would have been older.
Older or younger?
Phil would have been older, wouldn't he?
You're going to say older?
Yeah. Oh, no, why? You want me to go the other way?
No, I'm just double checking.
No, what do you say? What do you think?
I know what it says.
Oh, right, so you're trying to get us to say younger then. All right, younger then?
No.
I think it's older.
No, what do you think? 'Cause it sounds like you want us to say
I think
younger.
maybe you should listen to your team, so...
Well, we've kind of lost already, so what should we say? Just say...
There's loads of opportunities.
Let's just No, he was trying to lean us to say younger, so we'll go younger, and if it's wrong, it's his fault. Yeah, younger.
All right.
I mean,
Karen said older, and Karen got it right, because it is.
So why are you trying to throw me off? I'm sick of this.
Oh my gosh. 13 days,
yeah,
24
you know what I mean?
days.
It's in days.
Oh, my word.
That's why I'm giving you the days, you see.
This is very pedantic.
It was only 11 days. It was 11 days older. Here we go. Top quality viewing on Matchday Live. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
All right, here we go. Right, the game's starting now, Nedum. Come on. Clean sweep from here on out. Next up, Vincent Kompany.
And he started quite young, but I'm going to say older.
You're going to say older?
Yeah.
He's got to be older than 17
years,
5 months, and 24 days.
He did start young now, but I'm going to say older.
It's like in the womb.
Savile. Nodding one in there. It's lower. Nedum.
Look what we're
Days. 4 days younger.
This is a disgrace. This is an absolute
Honestly,
disgrace.
if you could hear Daryl and everyone in there, they are absolutely loving it.
Yeah, I bet they are.
You have to be fair. All right, here we go. Back on track.
Older.
Cole Palmer.
Older. Older.
There we go. We're back. Cole Palmer was older. He was higher. 18 years old. 5 months, if you want the days, 21 days. Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Well, he's not looking well in that picture, is he?
Okay.
So this would have been at Ajax.
Ibrahimovic, yeah, it was for Ajax. I can tell you as well, he scored twice. He was in a 2-0 win against Ajax and Lyon, yeah. In his Champions League debut.
Ajax tend to start quite young, don't they? So should we say younger? It might be 18 years, 5 months and like 20 days.
I'm going to let you take this
I'll take younger. Stop laughing, man. Honestly, I can't cope with you.
Let's find out.
I can't cope with you. 20. He's washed. He's no good, him.
Yeah, he's not great. He's not 20 years old for your debut. Come on.
Yeah,
all
lower
right.
Haaland, lower.
Straight in for the lower. There we go.
Lower.
Was he?
Yeah, of course he was.
He was indeed. Of course he was. Erling Haaland, 19 years old.
How old? He was so young. Look at him. Oh, God. Big Erling, before he could even walk, he was playing Champions League.
He really was in the womb.
Well done, studio.
No wonder he's got that many goals to his name. Flipping heck.
Well done, studio.
We have to get a petition.
Well done, studio.
Poor mum's there like that. Erling nodding him in there. Gosh.
So, technically speaking...
Erling wasn't like, you know, when they do little baby bumps. He was smashing them in.
So
you know
technically speaking then, so Gundogan has to be older than 1 month then.
Technically
He has to be older.
Let's find out. I mean, he definitely was older because Gundogan was 20 years old. He made his debut for Dortmund. That was in a 3-1 defeat against Olympiacos, 2011. So, okay, it's another tight one. So, Gundogan was 20 years old, 11 months and 25 days. Kevin De Bruyne, older or younger?
Playing for whom?
De Bruyne was playing for Genk. He was in a 2-0 defeat to Leverkusen, actually.
I'm going to say younger.
Yeah, I'll go with younger.
Going to go younger, I can tell you. You were correct there, bang on.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, there we go. Can you finish strong now? We moved over to Leroy Sané, ex-City playing out by Munich. It was for Schalke.
Younger.
Younger, straight in. There we go.
He was younger, yeah.
Absolutely. He was 19 years old, 1 month and 27
Raheem
days.
would have done it for Liverpool, and he was very young. So he's younger again. Tap in. Done.
Tap in.
Cool. Let's have a check.
Second assist.
Easy.
Let's have a look.
Don't be laughing, you. Oh, life
Missed that tapping.
Hey, laugh.
That's why you're a defender.
Happens to the best of us. Happens to the best of us.
That's an own goal, that.
Just for clarity, in case everybody's forgotten how this ended, we actually got one of the first ones wrong because
I like that you're talking down
somebody here got it wrong. Okay, so everything that came after that didn't matter, but somebody here, somebody this way.
I'll be honest.
This way.
I'm asking questions
Someone
that
this
QPR.
Someone this way got it wrong. Somebody this way got it wrong.
I'm suddenly wondering on that QPR story. Were you one of the players that should have been in the 3 up there? And now, you know,
I think Ian Haaland still got nipped. Swimming pool.
Have I told a lie in what I just said? When did this go off the rails?
I don't know. Possibly.
When she got it wrong.
It's not like you
When she
throw
got it
people
wrong.
under the bus, Nedum.
When she got it wrong. I wanted the other way, but she got it wrong.
We'll let the viewers, if you want to pass comments on that, viewers, you've got the WhatsApp number, you know what to do. Let's take a look at some free kicks, shall we?
Yeah,
because
our specialty, go for it.
I'm good at saving.
Oh God, honestly. Of course, we had a Kevin De Bruyne, another masterclass in the game against Leicester at the weekend. We've had a few great free kicks. To you both, is that not up there with one of the best free kicks I've seen in a long time in a City shirt? It's almost perfect, Karen, isn't it?
You know, everyone keeps saying it's the perfect, free kick because it's gone in off the woodwork. And, I always think, if it was perfect, would it have just glided straight, just touched the net just on the inside of the stanchion, you know what I mean?
True.
But I don't know, but it sure sounded nice. You hear that little microphone pick that up right behind the goal. And then the whoosh of the net. But, from a technical standpoint, from that close, that range, to lift it over the wall and then bend it round, kiss the inside of the post and go in, it's just it doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No, I think the fact it did go over the wall shows how good it is, because there are some people who, they get it over the wall, but it's nowhere near the goal. But to be able to do that and for it to go in where it's gone in, and that thing about perfect going right into the netting, in theory, if it comes off that side of the post, that's the furthest point away from the goalkeeper it can be. So in theory, maybe it is. And the only thing that could have made it possibly look better, if it came from the underside of the crossbar and bang down. We love one of those, We love one of those.
Do you know?
Bang, bang. Oh, wow.
You know what you're saying? It's not that great of a free kick.
Yeah,
Be better,
it's average.
Kevin.
It's average.
Be better.
It's average.
Everyone's saying he's not having a very good season.
I know. Well, that was interesting because Pep said that, but I think he kind of, De Bruyne almost, he kind of said, I acknowledge I guess it's the influence on the game that Pep wants to see.
Yeah, it's the bigger picture stuff. So I think in that game and in the Brighton game, he showed 2 moments of outstanding quality that's distinctly Kevin De Bruyne. But he wants him to be not necessarily doing that, but to have a greater influence throughout the whole game.
Yes.
In terms of some of the link up, finding the right spaces, say maybe not turning the ball over, some of the quality into the box from set pieces and the like. And ultimately, I think for Kevin, I think he understands that.
Yes.
He's old enough, played enough games, and have enough quality to know that, so the fact, I think, was he third in the Ballon d'Or rankings?
Yes, yeah.
It wasn't necessarily because of the goals he scored, it's some of the influence and stuff that he's had within games itself.
Yeah.
And he knows that's when he's at his absolute best, so he doesn't necessarily need to score from 30 yards out to say that he's had a good game. He's just had a good game, whether he's done it or he's not.
Well, off De Bruyne, we've inspired this. We've got a poll happening on Twitter.
Stop it.
At Man City. We're going to bring you now another 3 free kicks. We want you to vote on your favourite. So we've shortlisted 4. Kevin De Bruyne number 1, Alano number 2. Nedum.
This is a disgrace of a free kick.
Now that's
look at the wobble on that.
And also when we talk about going into that side net, and that is it, isn't it?
Yeah, Alano was a myth, an absolute myth.
Next up, Carlos Tevez.
Oh, Carlito! Oh my God!
Yeah, them ones that almost move from outside the post and in.
Well, I think was that against United or?
No, I think that was Stoke, maybe.
Oh, was it?
I think, yeah.
I was going to say that. I can't remember, but that would have made it even sweet.
And this was, I remember this was for us to win the game as well. So,
stop it.
Even further out than De Bruyne's, and again, the technique is
kiss the post again.
Yeah, but there wasn't that commitment from the goalkeeper.
This is pointless, isn't it? Which one's yours favourite? Which one's your favourite there?
I think probably Alano, I think, for me, possibly.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like
really difficult.
Does that bring back some memories for you? I feel like that's like an emotive.
No, the Alano one, yeah, because I do remember that vividly. I mean, I've seen deep. I have an early one, but I don't think I remember this. It's from clips. Michael Tarnett, I remember doing an absolute rocket.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Alano would have to be for me. And because Alano, when he came, I'd never seen a player do what he did at
he's
City.
special. Like the season before, we didn't score a goal at home for 3 months, and the next thing we had Alano playing. So yeah, and that free kick. You tell me what you think about this. That's the goalkeeper's side from 40 yards out. And Shea Given, like, really good goalkeeper, ended up playing for City. Like, he was nowhere near it. Like, he was on that side. I was on the field for that game. I was standing right behind him. And I was like, Hugo, I hadn't seen someone like Alano be at the club before. I was standing right behind him. He struck it. And you're just watching it go towards the top corner, but move about 3-4 times. That's on Shea Given's side. That is literally on Shea's side. And he's come, like, look at it.
What's interesting is, like, if you look at it, you know, to your point, your perspective is just behind it. Like, that wall didn't look like it was in the right place.
For which side?
Well, true.
That's what I mean.
It was pretty central.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, he had a straight... in terms of Alano, he knew exactly where he was going to go, and there was no sort of obstruction or anything. So I think, I mean, if you want to pick apart the technique, you can question...
That boy, that guy Alano, when we were training, I remember he came in, he was like the year before, like, Rubinho arrived and all that stuff, and he was doing things like toe poke diagonal balls and stuff like this.
Yeah.
The amount of sauce he had was
I mean, for fans, honestly, and we talk about a lot on the show, but it was the Alano and Berkovic. I mean, that was just. I remember my dad vividly saying to me and our kid, he was like, "Watch how these two players play football." He says that's how the game should be played.
Yeah.
Well, listen, at Man City, go and cast your vote. We've got a poll up there of those 4 goals. It's on Twitter, and that is where you can say what is your favourite, and then we'll say full time. We're going to reveal the winner of that vote. What about in the studio? Personal. Which one would you go for if you nipped on Twitter now? What are you thinking?
It's a setup because you're insulting like 3 ridiculous free kicks. When the bar's that high, like, you know, you
see what you did there.
You feel like an idiot. But I'm going to go for my bias because I was on the field for the Alano one.
You're going to go Alano?
And, like, you know, before that, we had, like, some other people taking free kicks which weren't beneficial to the football club. So I'm going to say the Alano one for me.
But you go,
I do like the Kevin De Bruyne free kick. It was just... I don't know, given the state of the game as well, you know, I think it was a real impactful, you know, free kick that's hopefully going to see us rise up the table as well. So I think, given the context, I'm going to pick that one as well.
Yeah, all important. I'm sure we'll be looking back at the end of the season, as you say, saying big 3 points there. We are not long until kick-off, around 11 minutes. I know the players have gone back in from warm-up, so it won't be long until they're in the tunnel. So let me just quickly recap our starting 11. We have got Ortega, that man there starts in goal, comes in for Ederson. A back 4 consisting of Rico Lewis, who starts, still only 17 years old. We've got Laporte, Diaz and Gomez that complete the back 4, and then, as Pepper said in a pre-match interview, who knows where people are playing. We've got Gundogan captain in, we're thinking he'll be holding. Then we've got Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, and then we've got Riyad Mahrez, Cole Palmer and Julian Alvarez there completing our 11. Looking to the bench as well, we'll bring that to you in just a second. So not long before we hand over to Alistair Mann, who's got commentary, of course, on the Manchester City app. That's also where you can get on City Plus. There's some brilliant documentaries over for you to watch on there as well. But let's get final thoughts from our guest, Nedum, coming to you. It's going to be an interesting kind of first 10 minutes to see who's playing where, and then I guess from there, what do you think the game plan will be?
Just what the game plan will be. I honestly have no idea what he's going to try and do in terms of just general stuff. But I think for those players, they're playing in the Champions League against a good side and they've got a good chance to go out and perform. You know, I like the mix of like experience and youth within the side. But ironically as well, like there's some of the, like Phil Foden's the experience, but he's also the youth. You know, I kind of love that. So I'm hoping to go out there, they express themselves, they move the ball the right way, make the right sort of decisions and work hard for each other. You know, whatever speed you put in running forward, give the same speed running back. And I think if they can do that, it should be a great performance. And these guys will enjoy the occasion because it's like, it's a genuine privilege to have 50,000 people shouting for you to do well in any game, you know, let alone a Champions League game where, you know, you're getting the opportunity to play.
And we talked about it earlier, Karen, there's a few young players on that pitch day, so I mean an amazing opportunity for them, but also exciting for us fans to go to see what they're about on this stage.
Yeah, I mean, if you put yourself in their shoes and, you know, this situation, you know, lends itself to you. It is like, I mean, what, I don't know. You just think, like, I'm playing for this club that has these amazing players and this fantastic coach and the staff, and like, there's so much energy and excitement around it. Like, how could you not just want to empty the tank on the pitch, you know, like, and give it everything you've got? I mean, plus it's like you're putting yourself out there in the shop window. You're trying to give yourself an opportunity to show the world like what you can do, but it's also, I don't know, like, they're just going to be so excited. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm really excited to see what they can do as well.
I've just realised as well, like, so it's a mind-blowing thing. So Rico Lewis there on the screen, like, he's likely going to play really well. Looks like the occasion doesn't really bother him. Like, what are his peers doing right now? This is their 3rd day back at school, back at college.
I know.
You know what I mean? But instead, he's playing in a Champions League night midweek for Man City against Sevilla. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's
How's your Wednesday going?
Right?
Yeah, literally. You know what I mean? Like, it's special, it's spectacular, and he's an inspiration to all those who are behind him now. And I'd say he's only 17.
I just hope they feel that, though. I hope that they feel like everyone genuinely wants them to do well and be successful. You know,
the City fans are good for that. They will.
Yeah.
They will. Yeah. They get behind academy players. 100%.
We won't be long till that light show starts inside the Etihad Stadium, and we do, of course, we just want a quick reminder as well to all fans, whether you're watching in the stadium, maybe you're watching on your phone, or maybe you're watching at home, that you want to make a positive environment that's inclusive for everyone to enjoy the game. It's very, very important indeed. So light show's just about to start, which means the players won't be far behind.
Oh, look at that!
You know what I mean? Come on. So while that goes on there and we can see it play out, final thing is predictions from you guys in the studio. Karen, I'm going to begin with you. Tough one. 0-0.
Oh, please.
Don't you dare.
If it's 0-0, he cannot come back.
Yeah, that'll be 3-0.
And we're not having you back in the studio.
As far you give your prediction first. You give your prediction
first. Okay. I'm going to go for a solid 4-0, I think, to City, yeah.
Love that 4-0. Nedum?
So, just so we're clear, the last 2 games I've been here for have been 0-0, and as far as the Fantasy Premier League show goes, I'm bottom. So I'm not in good form in this studio at the moment in time, but I hope that today brings lots of goals, and I'm going to say 3-2 to the mighty Man City.
3-2, lots of goals indeed. All right, we're back at half-time, then we'll be back at full-time, so come join us in the Matchday Live studio. Alistair Mann's got commentary. Final thing for me to say is, come on City and enjoy the game.